In this week's Parsha, it's fascinating. The Jewish people receive God. They hear God speak to them at Mount Sinai. They receive the Torah. And yet, what's the name of the Parsha? It's none other than Parshas YISRO. YISRO, the father-in-law of Moshe. YISRO, who is the convert, who was not born Jewish, who used to be an idol worshiper. That's the name of the Parsha when the Jewish people receive God and receive the Torah. Why is that? Rabbi Shlomo Wolfe says an amazing, amazing idea. He says it all stems on the first verse. Vayishma YISRO. YISRO heard. He heard what happened to the Jewish people. And it's an amazing idea. He says, imagine for yourself something that happened here. He said that if one would imagine that you're sitting down, he says, and you're reading the New York Times, and in the New York Times you're reading about the splitting of the sea. He said you'd continue to smoke your cigar, and you'd say, wow, what a nice story. And you'd continue on and read about the Yankees. But he says, but when YISRO, as soon as he heard about the splitting of the sea, he says, immediately he stood up and he went to the desert to Moshe Rabbeinu and to be with the Jewish people. He's like, that's a different level of shmiya. That's a different level of hearing. He truly absorbed it. He heard it. That when YISRO heard, he says, this was a hearing that immediately brought forth a tangible result. He acted on that which he heard. And he came to join the Jewish people. And he says that in general, hearing is not something that's necessarily so simple. And he actually quotes this really interesting idea. And he says, a lot of times he says, someone will hear a nice idea from the rabbi. You'll hear it, you'll go to synagogue, you'll hear a nice idea. And then, by the time you get to Kiddush, you don't remember anymore. You were inspired, but it completely leaves you as soon as you get up and you go to have Kiddush. And then he says it's interesting that Shlomo HaMelech, King Solomon, was asked by God what he wanted. And Shlomo said what he wanted was a lev shomea, a heart that hears. He didn't ask for ears that hear. Because Shlomo, in his brilliance and his wisdom, understood that what really truly matters is not that we just physically hear something with our ears, but that we absorb that message into our heart and we transform that message that we hear into true action. I think this is just a very powerful idea that hopefully we can all relate to. In life, we get inspired. Thank God we feel moments of inspiration. But do we just, waste them away? Do we act on them? Or do we waste them away or do we act on them? And we just had New Year's, and I saw a crazy statistic that about 91% of people that make a New Year's resolution don't end up keeping it past 2 weeks. So it's now the 3 weeks after January 1st. Have you kept your New Year's resolution? And the idea is that when you hear something, you hear inspiration, you resolve to do something, you have to make a plan. You have to make a plan that's doable, that's easy to achieve, that's realistic, and you have to act on it right away. I just got back along with Rabbi Liban and another rabbi in Denver, Rabbi Fleischer. We got back from a program called Rabbis Can Run, where they trained a bunch of rabbis from all over the country, different places and different sizes and ages, and we ran. Some of us ran 5K. I ran a 10K. A few people ran a half marathon. And we got into running. Over the course of 3 months, we really got inspired to run. And after this conference and this run that we did last week, we were all in cloud nine. And I understood for myself that it would be vital for me to hear the message of getting into better shape into running. I needed to continue this week. So thank God this week I was able to get out a couple times. I ran 2 miles and I ran another 10K because I understood that I need to listen to that message. I need to act on it immediately. I can't waste this opportunity. So please God, when we feel those moments of inspiration, we have to make sure that we act on them immediately without delay, because when we do that, it just fizzles and we lose it completely. So have a beautiful Shabbos, a beautiful day, and a beautiful year.